All right, so we're gonna talk about all the different angle relationships that are occurring here when you have two parallel lines cut by or intersected by a third line like this. And the last time we were together, and I'll just demonstrate for you, we showed how, this angle, if we slide it up the line, it's going to equal that angle, okay? And it's true for all of these angles. If we were to slide 3 over and land it on top of 7, they'd be congruent. They'd be the same measure, okay? Now, we looked at it this way. So when we did our sliding before, we actually slid up, okay? But for the sake of our vocabulary thing, we're gonna have it facing this way, okay? Well, let's first start by naming everything. You guys already know that these are parallel lines, but I'm gonna go ahead and label them. Now that line that is intersecting that set of parallel lines has a name. It is called the transversal. Okay. Now, the inside, all the angles on the inside of the parallel lines have a special name. They are the interior angles. So these angles, 2, 5, 4, 7, they're all on the inside of the parallel lines, so they're called interior. So I'm going to label those. And I'm actually going to color it in too. So these are the interior angles. And I'm going to shade it in. Oop, I used the wrong color. That's okay. So I'm going to shade these in purple. You can color yours whatever you'd like. If you don't even have colors, it's fine too. I just like to color code to make it clear. Okay, so those are my interior angles. So angle 2, 5, 4, and 7 are my interior angles. Now the angles that are on the outside of our parallel lines, angle 1, 3, 6, and 8, are called the exterior angles. Okay, and I'm going to color code those as well. coloring relaxing? I think it is. All right, so now we have that all color-coded. So these 4 angles are interior, these 4 angles are exterior, which makes sense. It's like a house. This is the interior of your house. This is the exterior of your house, okay? Now, angles that are on opposite sides of your transversal. So here's your transversal. So angles that are on opposite sides of the transversal, like 2 and 7, would be considered alternate. Okay, so I'm going to put alternate here in the middle just to help us remember. And I'm going to do a letter on each side just to remind you that it's alternate. It goes back and forth. It's on either side of this line right here, the transversal. Okay. So alternate means on separate sides of the transversal. Now I'm going to go through, I'm going to put the angle number on the back sides of all these here. So angle 1, 2, 5, and 6. 3, 4, 7, 8. Okay, so now we're going to talk through each one of these angles and identify the corresponding angle, the alternate angles, the same side angles. Okay. So if I'm going to first take a look at angle 1. Okay, we want to know what angle corresponds to angle 1. So if I'm looking at this, now remember how we slid the patty paper up the transversal to show what was congruent? So we slid angle 1 along the transversal to show that it was congruent to angle 5. Well, that has a special name, that relationship. These would be considered corresponding angles. So the corresponding angle to angle 1 is angle 5. And just remember how we slid that paper up. Basically, if you took this whole thing, this whole little angle set, 1, 2, 3, and 4, placed it on top of angle 5, 6, 7, 8, they'd be the ones that are right on top of each other. So like 1 and 5 are corresponding, 2 and 6 are corresponding, 3 and 7 are corresponding, 4 and 8 corresponding, okay? Now the thing to know about corresponding angles is they are congruent. So I'm going to put a little congruent symbol here. And you are going to get to use this on your quiz. So, you know, take care of it and don't lose it, because I won't give you an extra. Next one, we want to know which angle is the alternate exterior angle, okay? Well, here's angle 1. Alternate means on the other side of the transversal, so down here, and exterior means on the outside of your parallel lines. So we can say that angle 1 and angle 8 are alternate exterior angles. Okay, they're on either side of the transversal, and they're on the outside of the parallel lines. So this is angle 8. Well, we already know that 1 and 5 are congruent, and 5 and 8 are vertical angles, so they are also considered congruent. So if 1's congruent to 5 and 5's congruent to 8, that means 1 and 8 are also congruent. So I'm going to put a little congruent symbol here. All right, the next one says same side interior. When they say, yes?
How
because we already know that this is angle 1. We're wondering which one is the alternate exterior angle that goes with 1.
But why that goes with 1?
Because this is 1.
Oh.
Yeah. Good question. All right. Same side exterior. Well, same side just means instead of alternating, it's on the same side as the transversal. So since 1's up here, then these are all the same side angles, and we want same side exterior. So we want the angle that's on the same side and it's on the outside of our parallel lines. So that would be angle 6 here. Now these are not congruent, and we know that because when we slide this down, we know that angle 1 and 5 are congruent. So these would actually be considered supplementary, okay? So these angles are supplementary to each other. Okay? All right, let's take a look at angle 2. Okay, so just like before, so I'm going to put 1 down now because we're done with 1. Just like before, corresponding is when you take this whole thing and put it right on top of there, or slide this angle basically down the transversal. So if I slide 2 down, I would land right on top of angle 6. So that means angle 2 and angle 6 are corresponding, and they are congruent. Now the next one says alternate interior. So we know we're going to be in the purple territory on the inside of the parallel lines here. And alternate meaning on the other side of the transversal. Okay, so here's angle 2. So the angle that's on the other side of the transversal, and it's also an interior angle. So that would be 2 and 7. So the alternate interior angle for angle 2 would be angle 7. And we know that these are congruent too, because 2 and 6 are congruent, 6 and 7 are congruent, so they're both congruent. They're all congruent, actually. Now the last one is the same side interior. So here's angle 2, and I want it to be on the same side as the transversal on the inside, the interior. So that would have to be angle 5. Angle 5. And these would be considered supplementary. Okay? Yeah, Elizabeth.
How are like 2 and 7 complementary?
2 and 7 are not complementary.
But you wrote down that it is, or that thing.
You mean congruent?
I mean congruent, yeah.
Okay, because look, if 2 and 6 are congruent, which we already know, because we can slide that angle down and put it right on top of it, and it will be congruent. Well, these two we know are congruent. Well, 6 and 7 are congruent because they're vertical angles. So if 2 is congruent to 6 and 6 is congruent to 7, that means 2 and 7 are congruent to each other. Okay? All right, so I'm going to let you guys finish this up on your own. And if you have time, you can start your practice. And if you have questions, let me know. So I would like you to try to do this on your own without looking up here, but if you get stuck on anything, I am going to put the solutions up so you can see.